So you're thinking about moving to Ocala, Florida, and you just want a little bit more information before you make that final decision of moving to the Ocala, Florida area. Well, in this video, I'm gonna give you 10 reasons that may make you not want to move to the Ocala, Florida area. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay until the very end because I have some really good news that I wanna share with you. The first reason you might not want to move to the Ocala, Florida area is pretty similar across the board of living in Florida, especially past northern Florida in general, and it's just the heat and the humidity. Most of Florida is just one giant swamp. It can get really hot, and once the heat combines with the humidity and they mix together, it is a pretty terrible and terrifying combination where you're gonna be sweaty as soon as you step outside. The sun's gonna be beaming down on you. You're just gonna be hot. And if your AC in your car goes out, which happened to me not too long ago, that was absolute suffering at its finest, I'd say. The second reason that you might not want to move to Ocala, Florida is because of hurricanes. Hurricanes are completely unavoidable if you live in Florida. Now, Ocala is a little bit further north than Orlando and a lot further north than Miami, and it's very central in the state. So what that means is that when a hurricane comes up through the state, it's gonna hit mainly those southern cities and the coastal cities. And by the time it reaches Ocala, usually it's died down a lot. So you're really not facing anything too serious. The third reason you might not want to move to Ocala, Florida is because of the traffic congestion. Now, Ocala, Florida was a very small city for a very long time, but in recent years, because of how affordable homes are there and the quality of the home you can get for the price, you are seeing a huge influx of new people moving into the Ocala, Florida area. It's like the #1 area for people to retire to. And there's a ton of people just moving there at all different ages. And so what that's causing is, the more people are growing and the road infrastructure really can't keep up with it right now. So you're just seeing a lot of traffic congestion in areas where you used to not. Number 4 is that Ocala can kind of be boring. There's not much entertainment in Ocala, Florida. Unless you're into horses or nature or things like that, Ocala is a little or a lot more quiet than a place like, let's say, Orlando. If you're moving to Ocala, you're about an hour and a half away from Orlando, but in Orlando you have Disney, Universal, you have all of these amazing things because Orlando is this like tourist hub, whereas in Ocala, because it's still growing, so there's not a ton there. It's a little bit of a quieter lifestyle, but some people might love that. That's great. Some people that might kind of push them away from Ocala, Florida. But if you're into horses, I mean, it is the equestrian capital of the world, the horse capital of the world. So Ocala, Florida is great if you're into horses and nature. It's got a lot of both of those things. The fifth reason you might not want to move to Ocala, Florida is because it's in the early stages of growth. Kind of plays back into a couple other things we talked about. You're gonna see some traffic congestion. You're gonna see a huge influx of people. There's a ton of new construction going on all of the time, a ton of new businesses moving out there, but it's still in that early stage of that. So you're not gonna move in and have everything right away. In 5 years, maybe 10 years, you're gonna have pretty much everything. I'm sure it's gonna be a bustling city at that point, but right now you're still in that early stage of development. So if you're not someone who wants to kind of sit and ride out the growth of this city, it might not be the best place for you. The sixth reason you might not want to move to Ocala, Florida, or just Florida in general, is because of the increasing home insurance costs. Now, Ocala, Florida is gonna have a little bit of a lower average insurance cost just because of where they're located than, let's say, like Miami or some of the coastal cities. But Florida as a whole, on average, you're gonna have higher insurance rates than most of the country. The seventh reason why you might not want to move to Ocala, Florida is because you're pretty far away from major cities. Depending on traffic, you're about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes away from Orlando, Florida. So it's not like you can have a morning job down in Orlando and just pop over there from Ocala. You're actually pretty far away where that drive, especially with traffic, can climb. It can climb up to an hour 45 or 2 hours. Just depends. And like Disney's gonna be an hour 45, 2 hours minimum. So it's just something to think about, is that the proximity to those major areas, you're pretty far away. So if you have, let's say, I don't know, let's say you're going down to the Orlando International Airport and you're flying out at a certain time, it may be worth it to just stay the night over in Orlando somewhere at some hotel, just because you want to eliminate that possibility of hitting traffic or something that stops you along the way, because you are pretty far away from Orlando. Not too far where you can't enjoy Orlando for like a day or things like that. Like if you want to spend the day going to Disney or Universal or just adventuring in Orlando, that's totally possible, and it's right down the road, but that may be a reason why you don't move to Ocala, Florida. The 8th reason you might not want to move to Ocala, Florida kind of plays into a lot of the things we've talked about. It is a growing city, so you're a little bit more limited when it comes to dining and shopping options. It's not going to be like Orlando, Florida, where every single restaurant in the world is there, or every single, retail store is there. You're going to be a little bit more limited. It's not horrible. There's a lot of great places to eat, especially in the downtown, like historic downtown Ocala area. They have a lot of great restaurants, a lot of mom and pop type restaurants. But when it comes to having like everything, they're just not there yet. That's more Orlando, that's Tampa, that's Miami, like having everything. So if you're one of those people like, I need every option for shopping, for restaurant, like I need all of that, Ocala may not be it for you yet. It may get there, in the next 5 to 10 years, but if that's not a problem for you, then kind of ignore this point. The 9th reason you might not want to move to the Ocala, Florida area is because of the bugs. Ocala, Florida is very foresty and swampy and naturey, so the bugs can be pretty intense, especially like mosquitoes. Something we deal with a lot here is mosquitoes, and if you're buying down like Marion Oaks, a lot of people are interested in living in Marion Oaks because the new construction it's like luxury product with, like luxury finishes, great design, well-made homes for a great price. You can get in under $300,000 for like a 3-bed, 2-bath. The bugs can be pretty bad because you're sitting in these heavily wooded areas, but just due to where Ocala is located and the geography of Ocala, the bugs can be a little bit more intense there. The 10th reason you might not want to move to Ocala, Florida is because of a more limited job market. Orlando, Florida was recently rated as one of the top cities in terms of a growing job market, and you can really see that here. But in Ocala, Florida, one of the issues that we have is because it's, again, in that early stage of growth, you're gonna be more limited when it comes to your job search. Now it's growing, a lot of companies are making their move out that way, and they do need people like in the healthcare field and things like that. Like healthcare is always in demand out there because it's a growing city. There's more people there. They need more nurses. They need more doctors, things of that nature. So you're pretty much set in the healthcare field. But there's a lot of stuff that still is taking a while to develop out there. And so it's not going to be one of those places where they're just throwing jobs your way. But if that's not a problem for you, then this is really okay. It really just ties into everything else we talked about. It's a growing city, so the job market is going to be a little bit more limited than if you were looking in, let's say, like Tampa or Orlando. All right, guys, those are 10 reasons why you might not want to move to the Ocala, Florida area. They pretty much not all of them, but a lot of them boil down to the same thing, which is Ocala is just in the early stages of development. That's why they have such great prices out there. It's in that early stage of development. It's definitely growing, and there's definitely a ton of people moving there, and it is in the path of growth. That city, I can't wait to see what it becomes. So if you're still interested after all 10 of these reasons in moving to the Ocala, Florida area, my team and I would love to help make your move to Ocala, Florida go as smoothly as possible. My name is Andrew Sweet. I am your Orlando, Florida, Ocala, Florida real estate advisor. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, press that notification bell, and stay till the very end because I have some really good news that I want to share with you. If this is your first time to my channel, then at the end of all of my videos, I just like to give a little bit of good news, whether that's me talking about Jesus or reading directly out of Scripture. And in today's good news, we're going to be just reading Scripture. It's going to be 1 John chapter 4 out of the ESV Bible. We're going to start in verse 7 and end in verse 9. So just a quick little read here. So just listen to this. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God. And whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. In this, the love of God was made manifest among us, that God sent his only Son into the world so that we might live through him. That Son that was sent into the world is Jesus. He's the way, the truth, and the life. He's the only way to that eternity with God. And don't be misled when the Bible talks about love, because the way the world sees love and the way that God shows us what love is, they can look a little different. So love is referring to the choice of love that is found in Scripture, not the feelings of love. It's a little bit different. But guys, thank you for watching. If you have any questions about this portion or the real estate portion, make sure to reach out to me, and I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to subscribe and share this with a friend.